Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we are in September. We're doing block 17 and 18 this month. And I'm going to do them just a little different. We're going to do 2 inserts this month, and I'll explain why. Excuse me. So this is our Mystery Star block of the month. If you're new here, what we are doing is making a center insert into the center of star legs to make a completed block every month. And each month the insert is different. We've been doing 2 a month. If you need to know how to do the star legs, or you need the sizes and directions and that kind of thing, you can go to the very first video in this playlist, and it'll have all that. I go over all of that very first thing, and then you can jump in and join us. And yeah, so this month we're going to do 2. I'll try to get another video out, but we're going to do 2 blocks in this video here. And the reason is, one is the X's and X's block, this one, and the other is the O's block. Now these blocks are exactly the same. The units are made exactly the same. They're just laid out a little differently to give you the X's and the O's. So I thought if we just went ahead and did them both in this video, we can knock out 2 in one shot. And then I'll try to get the last 2, because we've only got 2 more. You know, where there's 20 blocks in our series, and then we also have a few extras to do in case you wanted to add to your quilt, or maybe make a bed runner, table topper, or what have you. Just some bonus blocks, which will be fun. So anyway, let's get started. So for each block, block 17 is going to be the X's block, and block 18 will be the O's block. But for each block, you need 2 fabrics, a background, and a print. I'm doing purple for one with white background, and this red grunge for another with white background. But for each of these, you're going to cut them exactly the same. You will need 8 1 3/4 inch squares of your background, and then 4 3.5 inch squares of your print or main fabric. That's it. So I'll put one together, and then we'll go through and put the other one together right quick, and then add our star legs, and we'll be all done. Yay, I can't believe we're almost to the end of this. I know Peggy said she wanted to try to hurry up and get it done, you know, before October. That way you guys could get your quilts put together and get sent in to get them quilted or whatever before the holidays. This is going to be a really fun one. I can't wait. I've been holding out, putting my blocks on the wall just to see what all I have, but I want to wait until I get all 20, and then I'm going to lay them out and see what I have. But I'm getting excited because we are getting there. So let's get into this and get to sewing. Okay, so you're going to need your 3.5 inch squares and your little smaller squares. Now you can draw a line on these, or you could fold them and press a line in them to diagonally from corner to corner, however you wanted to get it. They're so small that I'm just going to use my diagonal seam tape on my sewing machine. But essentially, all we are going to do, I'll have to cut another one. I didn't notice that till just now. What we're doing is snowballing 2 opposite corners on each one of these blocks, just like this. So just square it up, make sure you're squared up from here to here, and then we're going to sew the same direction on both of these blocks, and then when you fold them over, it is going to snowball just like that. And that is the block. So yeah, all right, let's get started. So I'm just going to leave those on there. You can do a chain piece them, or however you wanted to do them. Now on the O's block, this is for the X block. On the O's block, it's the exact same process. So if you wanted to chain piece all of these at one time and just knock them all out, you could. And so yeah, let's go here. All right, so all right, there's the first one. So I'll do these. I'll have to cut another square. So let me just do 2, and I'll show you what we're gonna do. And then I can do the other ones off of camera. Alright, so what I like to do before I trim or do anything is roll this back and make sure that all of my edges are meeting. That way this block is still the same exact size. And if it doesn't meet, or it's over by too much, then you can take it apart now and just, you know, fix it. But mine look good, so I will find some scissors, and I'm just gonna trim that off, leaving a quarter of an inch seam allowance. And then we will just snowball this other corner, the opposite corner, same way, and sewing the same direction, which I guess you can only sew one direction, but anyway, you know what I mean. All right, here we go. All right. And you can iron these before you do this if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and do them, and then I'll iron them when I'm done. All right, let's open them up and make sure that they're all going to match, and they are. So I'll trim those, and let's get those other two done. So I'm going to go ahead and start on my other block because it's sewn up exactly the same way. And just make sure your fabrics are facing right sides together. And then we're just going to snowball that one corner. I think I did a whole quilt out of the X's and O's blocks. And they make a really cool secondary pattern if you do a whole entire quilt of these. And I love quilts that have secondary patterns. It just adds a little bit more interest to it, seems like to me. So I got one side done on all these, and now I'm going to go back and do the opposite corner. Don't do them side by side. That's going to give you a whole other block. Be sure to do the opposite corner. If you do them side by side, that's going to give you some kind of star legs, and you don't want that. Well, I mean, you might want it, but that's not what we're going for today. So just chain piece these through there, and it'll, like I said, we're going to whip out 2 blocks just super quick. All right, let me get these sewn up, and we'll be back to press them. Okay, so I have them all done, so we're going to get them all pressed up here. And just simply roll those back. And this unit should still measure 3.5 inches square. So if it's looking like, you know, you got a little wonkiness on your edges or whatever, go ahead and trim it down, and it'll just make it so much easier to put your block together in the end. So just easy peasy. I think all mine are going to be pretty good. When I flipped the squares back before I trimmed them, they all looked really good. So I think we're going to be in good shape. So now it's just in the layout. So for the X's block, you're going to have the whites coming to the center here, and these going to the outside. So in the very center, all of your print fabric should meet. Your whites will be out here, so it's making an X. All right, so that's that one. So now it's just a 4-patch. And then for your O block, your colors are meeting in the center. Your white will be in the center. Let me move this up just over here out of the way. Here we go. Okay, now then, so your colors will make a circle, and all your whites will be in the very center. And then there's your O block. So X's and O's. Easy peasy. So now they're just a 4-patch. So all we've got to do is sew them together like 4-patch. Okay, so I brought them up here to the sewing machine. So I'm just going to flip this one over on top of the other one and match up where my snowball is so that that seam matches up, and stitch 1/4 inch. You can flip this back if you want to nest them and just, you know, repress that when you press to get it where you want it to go. But I find it 1/4 inch, they'll usually, as long as you have them matching, they'll meet up okay. So I'm just making sure that they're matching here. And make sure it's all lined up. Looks good. Alright, so then you can flip this open and press these seams one way to the other, opposite, so that they will nest, and then flip this over on top of it and stitch it up. Okay, going to make sure everything's lined up. My center seams are matching. Those match. All right. Here's our O block. Oh, I got one that didn't quite meet up real close, but it's just, you can barely notice it. But anyway, there's our O block. Awesome. Now this unit should measure 6.5 inches unfinished. Let's go ahead and sew up our X block while we're here. So again, same thing, just flip this over onto itself and match up where your snowballs are. And like I said, you can reposition that seam so that you can get them to nest if you want to. And that way you will make sure that they match up when you open it up. I don't do that often, but sometimes I do. Just depends. Alright, and then again, we're going to press a seam one way here and press this bottom one to the other side so that they nest. And flip it over. These are some of the easiest blocks and an excellent scrap buster. You can make them in any size. You just need to snowball two corners of a square. So you could make these blocks in any size you wanted, depending on what fabrics you had. If you wanted to just use scraps. And it makes a super cute quilt, especially around Valentine's Day if you do it in Valentine fabrics. Got your little X's and O's quilt. All right, there's our X block. All right, let's get these pressed. Sorry about my floor. You know, I don't have a studio like some of these other YouTube people do. Mine is like real life, real life working sewing room, I guess you could say. And a lot of times I don't have time to clean prior to getting in here, so I do the best I can. All right, and that's that. So let's press this one. And then this looks a little wonky on one edge to me here, so I will probably trim that to make sure that it's the right size. Super cute. Okay, there's our X's and our O's. Now we just need to add some star legs. Okay, so I have my star legs already made, so I'm just going to lay my block out here. I got my sides. And I've got my top. That's a side, that's a side. So here is my top. And here is my bottom. Just like that. Oh, how cute is that? Adorable. All right, let's get this sewn up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is sew my sides on. And we're just going to match everything up here. Make sure it all lines up here and here. Alright, and then we'll sew the other side on. And line everything up. And there's really nothing to really match too much, other than that very center seam. But what I've been doing is pressing my center seams open on my star legs, you know, down the center, so when it matches up, it's just super easy. All right, and let's see. These will go to the inside. So I'll just finger press that. Okay, and then we'll add a top on or a bottom. I don't guess it matters because alright, line that up. Make sure it's all lined up down here. Oh, I'm so glad it's fall almost. I'm so ready for the cooler weather. We have been blistering hot here. And we've had no rain. It's been dry. It's just been miserable. Okay, here's our O block. I'm just gonna finger press those out. And there's the O block. How cute. All right, let's get the X's block sewn up. So this is the same exact process. Put your star legs on your sides and then your top and bottom, and that is it. I need to learn how to fast forward various parts of the video when I edit. I don't quite know how to do that. That way I could still sew these, but it would be like not as boring for you guys. Okay, so this one's going to go to the inside. Alright, I'll get these finished and we'll press them out and be right back. So I'm picking this out because when I put my side on my block, I had my star legs turned wrong and didn't realize it until after I pressed my block. So since it was the side and not one of these pieces, what I did is just unpicked the seam here, unpicked the seam here to give me room to sew this back on after I pull it off. So I just thought I would show you my mistake because I didn't check it. So yeah, so now I'm over here picking this out and gonna turn it around and sew it back on, and then I will sew the other rows back on. So a lot of times you don't have to deconstruct your entire block, just partial seam it. And if you've never done a Y seam, this is almost basically what a Y seam is. Just partial seams. So let's get all this thread out of here. All right, and I didn't normally, I put the block up there and checked to make sure the orientation is correct, but I did not, and this is what happens. And I wasn't gonna video it, but I thought, you know, maybe somebody had, you know, like I said, if you ever had to do that, a lot of people would have went ahead and took this whole entire row off, and there's no need to do that. It's not necessary. So I'm gonna iron these seam marks out right quick so that it's flat, and it'll be easier for me to, there we go. Okay, so pull that back, and now we got them going on there correctly. Okay, I didn't want to redo the whole entire video section that I just did. So like I said, you guys get to see, it happens, you know, it's just, and you learn to fix your mistake. But I don't like deconstructing an entire block if I don't have to. So I didn't have to. All right, so now I've got the side back on there. So now we're gonna pull these back down, flip it over, and just pick up, you know, wherever you stopped your stitching, pulling the stitches out, go back about 1 inch or 2 up above that and start from there, just to make sure you secure that. And I'm going to start right on my existing seam, and you could even backspace a little just to lock it down in there a little bit. I'll pull this extra thread out of my way, and then just stitch right where you had stitched prior, and you'll go right in those same holes, and that way you don't have extra holes in your fabric. But if you do notice extra holes in your fabric, a little steam and a good hot iron, and it will draw those fibers back up. And so the same thing on this side, but I'm going to do this one from this way. And I'll start back up here, and then just line it all back up, like we had it. There we go. Okay, good as new. Nobody will ever know. You may have a little few little threads there because I didn't get them all out. Just trim those up. And now she is correct. When I was ironing it, I thought, gosh, that thing looks really weird. It don't look like it's supposed to. It's because it wasn't. So now you know. Let's get it ironed. Okay, now she looks like she's supposed to. So I'm going to go ahead and re-iron the whole thing. Now these blocks should measure 12.5 inches unfinished or 12 inches finished, whichever way you prefer to say it. And if you're just shy, like 1/8 of an inch, being short, you can just take some starch and a good hot iron and just gently starch that fabric out to where you need it. If you're short, I mean, if you're if you're short more than, say, 1/8 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch, to rectify that, what you can do is just add a sashing, like a 1-inch sashing, and then trim your block down with that sashing on there, on whatever side it is that's short, and then you can still get your 12.5 inch unfinished block, and it'll fit in your quilt. So there we go. So there's our O block. That's block 18, and here is our X's block, block 17. Super cute. Yeah, so they're all done. Okay, so that is September. Since I did both of these in one video, I may do one of our bonus block videos this month, 1 or 2 of them. And on those videos, I won't be adding the star legs. I'm just going to be showing you guys the center insert just to save some time and get them done. Because like I said, if we can hurry up and get this done before the end of October, you guys have all of November and most of December to get it put together and quilted, and you'll be good to go. All right, so yeah. I was just looking, I just did this one. I'm fixing to send it off to Peggy, and then I'm starting that quilt there, or those blocks over there, right there, on another quilt with some scraps, fat quarters that I had. I did post a tutorial on those blocks right there in Peggy's quilting group. It has all the directions and everything. So Peggy's quilting group on Facebook, if you want to join us over there, I hang out there a lot. If you have any questions, if you're new, we welcome everybody and all skill sets and all skill levels, and it's a very good group, very encouraging, and a lot of great ideas, a lot of very experienced lady quilters over there. And if there's any gentlemen that watching you quilt, join us there too. We will welcome everybody. All right, I will see you guys. I hope you guys have a good fall, and I'll see you maybe one video more this month, but if not, I'll be back for sure for October. See y'all.